Ministry of Education to begin Because We Care cash grant distribution. GRA worker murdered by landlord's son. Toddler drowns in a bucket of water. In the region, Haiti gang leaders barbecue threatens new violence. And internationally, UN, a tenth of the people malnourished across the world. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. The Ministry of Education will begin the distribution of the Because We Care cash grant. Esther Soares has that story.
The Ministry of Education has announced it will begin distribution of $15,000 Because We Care cash grant and the $4,000 uniform allowance for children in the public education system. Parents can expect cash grants for their children from this week. Each child in the public school education will receive $19,000.
Public school children are eligible for this grant. Nursery 1, Nursery 2, grades 1 to 6, 7 to 10. And the second year of CAPE. Once the first year CAPE students come into the system sometime October, November, whenever CXC results come out, we'll give them the grant also, but that would be later in the year. We asked and we had to have a cutoff date. We're dealing with cash, we're dealing with money, we have to know how much to cater for. So across the country, we told parents of nursery age children that through the schools and through the regions that they needed to be registered by the 30th of June. That's the latest date we could have taken it to because we're beginning the program on the 14th of July. So even if students' names are not on the register as yet, but their parents had taken in the application form, by the 30th of June, they will get this grant. So that's who is eligible. Then who can pick up the grant? Parents, guardians, or anyone duly authorized by the parent or guardian. Someone sent me a Facebook message last night to say she was out of the country and she wondered if her cousin could pick it up. And so I answered to say yes, you have to authorize her. If there's, because we have some of that unfortunately, where the parents are separated or divorced, the parent who would be most entitled to the grant would be the parent in whose custody the child is, unless that parent gives the other parent or someone else permission and authorization to receive the grant.
The ministry will publish a scheduled date for the release of cash grants on its Facebook page and in local newspapers. The minister said, quote, parents or guardians are to visit the respective schools of the scheduled date to uplift the grant. If a parent or guardian fail to uplift the grant on the scheduled date, they will be allowed to do so at a later date at the Department of Education or that region or education district, end quote. Those uplifting the grants will be required to present a valid form of identification. The ministry is working to complete distribution of 2 grants before the new school year begins in September. The minister said the grant is in anticipation of the reopening of schools.
We are looking to restart school by September. I mean, we can't say definitively at this point that we absolutely will, but the strong intention is to restart. All the reports around the world coming out of all the professional bodies, health as well as education, are saying very clearly that the world needs to get back to face-to-face learning as quickly as possible, or we're going to suffer long-term consequences, adverse effects. And so this is to put parents in a position to be ready for September.
Minister of Education Priya Manichan said the government intends to continue to increase the Because We Care cash grant incrementally each year until it reaches $50,000.
We know that it's great to have fancy schools and trained teachers and furniture to sit on and other resources in the school, but it's very important also for parents to feel like they can look after their children, for parents to have some dignity in whether they can outfit their children and give them the requisite pencils and rulers and so on that they need. And people could use a hand up, a leg up. So parents generally in Guyana make great sacrifices to get their children out to school. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, and we thought we wanted to give a hand.
The school uniform and supplies grant will not be given in the form of a voucher, but rather as cash and only will be distributed to parents of students in public schools.
Public expenditure will not be used on private education except for some broad areas. We train teachers at the Teachers Training College, and it's those teachers that go into private education, many of them. We create syllabi and curriculum and do all kinds of training in and around those documents that private schools benefit from. So children going to private schools benefit from those. So we do offer quite a lot of our service to private schools. We don't give private schools traditionally. We have never given private school children textbooks. We have not given private school children this grant. We don't give private school children the uniform grant. So our policy in Guyana is that the state does not fund private education, and children who are benefiting from private education, whose parents have chosen that for them, that is one of the consequences. That's not to say I'm unsympathetic to the parent who says, I'd like to get this grant. Who wouldn't? It's $19,000. Of course, we'd all like to get it. But the policy of the country right now is that private schools do not benefit from public financing.
The program totals $3.2 billion and will assist about 172,000 children and families across Guyana. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. On Sunday, a male motorcyclist was suspected of committing suicide by jumping off the western side of the Demerara Harbor Bridge. The Police Marine Unit and the Ghana Defense Force Coast Guards search for the body have so far been futile. According to a police report, a driver stopped on the eastern side of the harbor bridge and informed the ranks on duty that he saw a male jump into the Demerara River from the bridge. An alarm was raised and ranks of the Providence Police Station went to the harbor bridge, where they discovered a black CG motorcycle CH4923 parked on the western side of the bridge with the engine still on. Checks were made on the pontoon under the bridge, but no one was seen. The search for the body continues. We now tell you that a 10-year-old boy lost his life to drowning yesterday afternoon around 4 p.m. at Hope Seawall. The boy, his brother, and a cousin went swimming when they were hit by a wave. It was reported that the boy went under and did not resurface. His brother shouted for help, but no one came to his rescue. The body of the lad was fished out of the water around 8 p.m. yesterday and taken to the Likens Funeral Home, where a post-mortem examination is to be done. In this heartbreaking report, Esther Sobers tells us that a toddler's body was found semi-submerged in a bucket of water. Here is that tragic story.
Police are investigating the drowning death of an 18-month-old girl at Kukwani Berbice River. The toddler died sometime yesterday around 5:30 hours to 6 p.m. According to the police report, the mother of three left her kids ages 17, 7, and 8 months at home alone to attend a funeral. Investigation revealed the elder child was in the upper flat of the home with the toddler while the 7-year-old was downstairs playing. After playing, the 7-year-old went upstairs to check on his siblings. He noticed the elder sister was asleep. He then observed his baby sister with her head in a bucket of water, motionless. He immediately pulled her out of the bucket and raised an alarm. The toddler was taken to the Kukwani Hospital complex. She was pronounced dead on arrival. Police have ruled out foul play. Nonetheless, investigations are ongoing. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. Guyana receives an undisclosed quantity of second doses of Sputnik V vaccine, and GRA employee murdered by his landlord's son.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Are you looking for men's suits for that wedding, prom, or special party? Or maybe you need to update your wardrobe with a modern fit or a new color for work? Search no more, because John Lewis Styles is the perfect men's suit store.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Tastes so good. It's gotta be made with Alabama Baker wheat flour. Produced from quality soft winter wheat and quality enzymes to give a superior product that's guaranteed to be luscious, delightful to taste, and stays fresher longer. Alabama Baker wheat flour is perfect for breads, roti, puri, pastries, chow mein, pastas, and many other delights. Imported and distributed by Alabama Trading. 6566 Robb Street, Borda, and 23 Lombard Street. Telephone 225-5800.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. This morning, a GRA employee was killed by a man suspected of being his landlord's son. Here is more from Esther Silvers.
Police are investigating the death of 24-year-old Dwayne Daniel Tate, an enforcement officer at the Guyana Revenue Authority, who was allegedly killed by his landlord's son in the wee hours of Monday morning at Milton Street, Camerville. Headline News spoke to Dwayne Tate Sr., the grieving father of the deceased, who recounted what he heard transpired.
When we get the call and me wife call me up, we done gone at the hospital. When I go to the hospital, I see my daughter-in-law, and I outside the hospital, and then the doctor come out and said he never met me. And since then, there's all left me shocked and speechless, everything. From saying that.
You ever know they had any issues with the landlady, son?
Just issue about moving out, and don't tell she will be moving. Them thing he went and get a place yesterday. So today he was supposed to move. And like she crashed his son last night.
Do you know if you had any outstanding rent?
No problem with somebody who working for a good salary. You do CXC everything, so you got a good job in that GRE there. The type of GRE. he had no problem. Apparently, like they got some money for eat. Some outstanding money card. The account is the contracting up and like she want to move.
So were you able to speak to her to find exactly what transpired?
Who, the lady?
Yeah.
No, I mean if it's the lady, since last the lady never coming out the house, nothing at all.
According to the police, Tate, his wife, and his 2-year-old daughter lived in an apartment owned by the suspect's mother. According to Tate's reputed wife, Aliyah, around 5:30 p.m. last evening, she, along with the deceased, was at home when the landlady told them in the presence of the suspect that they have until the 14th of July 2021 to vacate the apartment. Shortly after midnight, while Tate and his family were asleep, they were awakened by the suspect, who was banging on their apartment door with a piece of wood and shouting at them to move out. As a result, Tate opened the door and went to the suspect, who was armed with a knife. The enforcement officer ran out of the street opposite the said apartment, where the suspect pursued and dealt him a stab to his chest. Tate fell to the ground. The suspect fled the scene with the said weapon. Tate was picked up by his reputed wife and a security guard and taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where he was pronounced dead. The suspect was arrested and is presently in custody. Investigations are ongoing. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Today, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, during a COVID-19 update said Ghana has received a quantity of the second doses of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine and will begin administration to those persons who received their first doses in April from tomorrow.
You would recall we had some difficulties in sourcing the second dose because of what is happening globally. There have been several outbreaks around the world with the Delta variant, and this particular vaccine seems to be doing very well against the Delta variant. So there have been a global shortage of the vaccine. We have now been able to get second dose Sputnik V into the country. And as of tomorrow, we'll start administering the second dose of the Sputnik V. But you would recall that we also have given people a time period, and that is between 4 weeks to 12 weeks when you can come and get the second dose of the vaccine. If you wait for that 12-week period, the longer you wait, the better you will get the durability of the vaccine or durability of your immune response. And so with the second dose that we now have, we would like to give it to the persons who would have received their first dose in April. So they are now coming closer to that 90-day period, and we want them to get first preference.
Minister Anthony assured that all those who receive their first dose of the Sputnik V will be able to receive their second shot. The minister is encouraging persons to get vaccinated so that the country can reach herd immunity. Children continues to be affected by COVID-19, and those with underlying illnesses are at risk of being hospitalized.
Some of the children who were there before, at least 2 of them, have been discharged. But currently we have 4 children that is in the hospital, and of those 4, 2 are currently in the ICU and 2 are in the regular wards. The 2 that are in the ICU, one has been there for some time now, and just early this morning, another child was admitted to the ICU. So we currently have 2 children in the ICU and 2 in the regular ward. So in total, we have 4 children that are currently in the hospital. We have overall in the ICU at Ocean View, we have 11 persons. And the total persons overall who are currently in the hospital, we have about 57 persons.
To date, 49.2% of the adult population has received their first dose of the vaccine, while 24.7% of the adult population is fully vaccinated. Don't go away after the break. Haiti gang leader Barbecue threatens new violence, and thousands join rare anti-government protests in Cuba. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
want money for borrow for do a surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and Sleep Center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Are you looking for men's suits for that wedding, prom, or special party? Or maybe you need to update your wardrobe with a modern fit or a new color for work? Search no more, because John Lewis Styles is the perfect men's suit store. Come see us on Waterloo Street, and our friendly staff will help you choose the perfect size, color, and fit. Complement that suit with a stunning shirt and tie, matching bow tie and suspenders, cufflinks, or even a pair of shiny dress shoes. You will love the way you look. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. A former police officer turned notorious gang leader is asking his supporters to join mass protests in Haiti. Al Jazeera's Patty Culhan reports.
Haitian police say these men, paraded out for the press, were the ones who carried out an attack that killed Haitian President Jovenel Moïse and wounded his wife. The suspects, 18 Colombian men, most of them former soldiers, and 2 Americans of Haitian descent. But now authorities say they have the mastermind, blaming a Florida doctor, saying he flew into the country on a private jet, intent on taking over the presidency. American investigators from the FBI and Homeland Security are believed to be taking part in the investigation now. But as for Haiti's request for U.S. troops, it seems unlikely.
And today, an interagency team, largely from Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, are heading down to Haiti right now to see what we can do to help them in the investigative process. And I think that's really where our energies are best applied right now, in helping them get their arms around investigating this incident and figuring out who's culpable, who's responsible, and how best to hold them accountable going forward. That's where our focus is right now.
There are reports that armed gangs have in essence taken over, their violent crimes unchecked by police.
In certain places we see 1 or 2 police officers, but they don't have the capacity to take over security. There are not enough police. The Director General of the National Police said there are enough police for the capital, but I don't see them. We can see one here, one there.
And now one of Haiti's most powerful gang leaders is threatening more violence.
We will take to the streets to ask those who monopolize the country's economy to give us our country back. It's time for black people with afro hair like us to own supermarkets, to have car dealerships and own banks. I call on the attention of the masters of the system because the people will take to the streets. The last time the people came out, they threw tear gas. When the people come out, we are going to use self-defense. I repeat, if they shoot at us, we already know what we have to do.
Many Haitians have been hiding in their homes, but some look for sanctuary in their churches Sunday, while Pope Francis sent them public prayers.
I join the heartfelt appeal of the bishops of the country to drop the weapons and choose life, and choose to live together in brotherhood in the interest of everybody and in the interest of all the others. I'm close to the beloved people of Haiti. I hope the spiral of violence will end and the nation will be able to recover the path towards a future of peace and harmony.
And still, there is a political void as politicians fight over who will lead next. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Meanwhile, thousands of anti-government protesters are taken to the streets across Cuba. Social anger has been driven by long food lines and a critical shortage of medicines since the start of the COVID-19 epidemic, exacerbated by the United States sanctions. Al Jazeera's Teresa Boa reports.
"We're not afraid," chanted thousands of people on the streets of Havana. Protests like this one happened across the country, expressing frustration over pandemic restrictions and the worsening economic crisis on the island nation.
We are here for the repression because they are killing us with hunger, the houses are falling and we have no homes. They have the money to build hotels while letting us go hungry.
The past year and a half has been difficult for Cuba's economy, as the pandemic has had a devastating impact on the tourism sector. The country was forced to carry out major economic reform. In the past week, the amount of COVID-19 infections rose sharply in the province of Matanzas, where hospitals are struggling to cope. Doctors say they are in desperate need of oxygen and beds to treat patients. President Miguel Díaz-Canel blamed the U.S. embargo for the situation and asked government supporters to take to the streets.
We are not going to admit that any counter-revolutionary mercenary sold out to the government of the United States, sold out to the empire, receiving money from the agencies, allowing themselves to be carried away by all these strategies of ideological subversion to provoke destabilization in our country. There will be a revolutionary response. We call upon all the revolutionaries of the country, all the communists, to take to the streets to any of the places where these provocations are going to take place. Today, from now on, and in the following days.
Security forces arrived soon after the protest started. People were arrested and some clashes broke out between pro and anti-government demonstrators.
State security beat me and my daughter, a minor. They beat us because we were walking down the streets.
Protests like this one are uncommon in Cuba. This is the biggest one to take place since 1994, during what is known as the Special Period, right after the fall of the Soviet Union. For many, they're an example of the changing times on the Caribbean nation, and how many are no longer afraid to speak up. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
And internationally, the world is facing a dramatic increase in the number of people affected by hunger and malnutrition. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Val has more.
25-year-old Zetina is a single mom with 3 children. She doesn't have a job, and her life in the village of Mahabo in western Madagascar has become virtually impossible. Her children are malnourished, but now there's at least some help. A team from MSF, Doctors Without Borders, has arrived.
I am really happy. I dance like this as I'm really happy. Without this aid, we would have died. We'd been eating plant roots, which gave us permanent stomach aches. As a woman, I personally no longer have enough energy to go and dig up those roots. Even men are unable to do so anymore.
Families in desperate need for food and medical assistance are gathering. Doctors Without Borders has set up makeshift centers. Some of the families looking for help had to walk long distances.
We've come upon a food crisis here, so we launched an urgent deployment. We choose to do this way because health centers and the region's infrastructures cannot deal with a crisis of this magnitude. Right now we take charge of children with cases of severe and moderate malnutrition, but we also treat other diseases, mostly malaria, intestinal parasitus, and diarrhea.
Madagascar is experiencing the worst drought in 40 years. Aid agencies warn that more than 1 million people here are facing severe food shortages. But it's just one of many countries with the same difficulties. The UN report reveals a dramatic worsening of the food security situation in 2020. The number of malnourished people in the world continues to rise. 118 million more people were facing hunger than in 2019. Moderate or severe food insecurity has been climbing slowly for 6 years and now affects almost a third of the world's population. Africa is hardest hit, followed by Latin America. The report says COVID-19 has had an effect, but so too have conflicts around the world. And it says urgent action is needed to avoid an obvious catastrophe. Mohamed Val, Al Jazeera.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. For this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.